Good evening, everybody, and welcome. A Scholar Academy is hosting this event, so me, Candace, and Allison we put on events throughout the semester to, encourage philosophical thinking. So just to look out for tomorrow, Dr. Fendt will also be doing a talk in Copeland. He'll be doing a poetry reading from his newly published book. So that's in Copeland 142 at 7:30. And then on March 13th, Dr. Rosema will be doing a talk in Copeland as well. So keep an eye on that. If you would like to be in the Scholar Academy group me, we post all the information in there. You can see one of us afterwards. We also post everything on Facebook, so you can follow us there. But without further ado, after a long sabbatical researching the different uses and flavors of classroom chalk, Dr. Fendt is back, and he joins us tonight to discuss Augustine's Confessions. I shan't labor this intro any longer, so I present Dr. Fendt, Professor of Philosophy.
Thanks, Will. The last university I worked for didn't have chalkboards. They had whiteboards, and it's really messy. So I'm thinking that despite the lack of a chalkboard, I was going to run this as a class on the first book of Augustine's Confessions. So at least some of you brought your books. Yeah, well, my hearing aids are going higher. So I think mine are going to give out anytime soon. And then I'll be on my own. So anyway, that's the plan. So those of you who are students know what's up, and those of you who don't know what students, I might call on you anyway. All right, so reading Augustine's Confessions. First question is the title. What do you confess? Okay, I'll give you that one. Ignorance. Okay, anything else you want to confess? You sometimes confess, besides ignorance.
Sins, faults, and problems.
Sins. And what else?
Faults and problems.
Faults and problems.
Pride.
Anything else?
Belief.
Okay. Did you take this class?
Yeah.
Quit cheating. Who do you confess it to?
Priest.
Bartender.
All right, a bartender. Who else?
Brothers and sisters.
Your sins?
Maybe your faults.
Maybe. I wouldn't ever do that. I'm the oldest. I don't have any. And, of course, I suppose some of you confess to a priest. But why do you confess to a bartender or a priest?
Absolution.
Well, or something. You figure he can help you solve the problem. Pour you another drink.
At least they listen.
Pour you another drink, or maybe give you absolution or something like that. Okay, but think about that. Who do you confess to? You confess to somebody who you think can help with the problem, right? The bartender, the priest, maybe your brothers and sisters. In my experience, they're not of any help. But you think they can. And by thinking that they can, you're confessing something else when you confess to them. What are you confessing? Coal. Belief in what?
A higher power that can help you.
Oh no, your sister, your brother, the bartender? A higher power necessarily? Not necessarily.
Trust.
You're confessing trust. You're confessing belief that they can help you. You're confessing, well, what else?
You're
what?
sharing, because in some ways, sharing your problems make them easier or better.
Yeah, but confession might be a little bit more than just sharing. I think it is anyway. I might share with my brothers and sisters, but I'm not confessing to them too much of anything. You're confessing to someone you think can solve the problem. But isn't that also a confession that they have something they can give you?
You're building upon a relationship.
So you're trying to build a relationship, or you're trying to maybe rebuild one, but you're confessing that they have something that can help you. So you're confessing that in a way, are they superior to you? Well, they're not in your problem. They can help you. Think about confessing to the priest. There you are confessing to a higher power, right? But what else are you confessing when you're confessing to the priest? I think you're confessing something other than just your sins. What are you confessing? Why are you there?
You're sorry.
Oh. But what is that an admission of? Besides sorrow, I got that part.
Guilt.
Besides guilt,
It's a need. You got a need for forgiveness and a need for.
and this person can solve it, right? But aren't you confessing something else about that person and about yourself? The thing that you need, that you're going to get from them, you're confessing something about that. What? That they have it to give? That's about them. What about you? You don't have it and you want it. There's a love you're confessing too, for this thing that they can give you. Or maybe for the person that you've offended, and that's why you're confessing to this person that you've offended. Right? And that's why you want to make up the relationship and restart it or get it back on track. You're confessing that you love that person. In the confession of your sins, you're confessing need, but you're also confessing love. You're also confessing faith or a belief or trust that they can and will help you. What else are you confessing? Besides, so all those negative things we started with, pride, sin, fault, ignorance, aren't just confessions of lacks. They're confessions of something positive that you're facing. They're confessions of trust, faith, love, at the same time. Because if you didn't trust them, would you go? If you didn't believe they could do something, would you go to confess to them?
No.
If you didn't want to make this thing better, would you make any confession whatsoever? There's something that you're loving that you want to get to. Otherwise, why am I here? You wouldn't be there. Right? So, confessions is plural. Not because Augustine has a lot of sins to confess, which he does, probably more than you and fewer than me. But that's not the reason it's plural. The reason it's plural is because every confession is plural. Every confession of ignorance, sin, fault, is a confession of faith, trust, love, hope. At the same time, with the very words of confession. You don't have to say, and I believe in you. You're there. You don't have to say, I've hoped for this. You're there. You don't have to say, and I love this. You're there. That's why you're doing it. That's what your confession entails. All of those things. Right? Okay. So far, so good. Now, at this point in the class, I like to pick on the person in the class who's the village atheist. Do we have any village atheists here? Anybody want to volunteer to be the village atheist? Please? No? Tim?
Sure.
You have to read the first few lines of Confessions. But you forgot your book. Oh, you really are the village atheist.
I didn't bring my glasses.
All right, well, I'll have Cole do it then. Cole, you know where to read to, right?
I believe so.
You are great, O Lord, and greatly to be praised. Great is your power, and to your wisdom there is no limit. A man who is part of your creation wishes to praise you. Man who bears about within himself his mortality, who bears about within himself testimony to his sins, and testimony that you resist the proud. Yet man, this part of your creation, wishes to praise you. You arouse him to take joy in praising you, for you have made us for yourself, and our hearts is restless until it rests in you.
Okay? What did you just do? Or for the rest of you, what did Cole just do? What did he just do?
He confessed.
Okay, Dave, shut up. Did all of you catch that? Well, see, that's the answer I'm trying to get to, but I thought it would take longer. Think of a village atheist reading this and me asking him this question. So let's call him Brad. Some people in the room will know who I'm talking about. So Brad, what did you just do? I read the first lines of Augustine's Confessions. What else? Nothing. I just read it. What else? What else did you do? Is that all you did? Was just read it? Read Augustine's Confessions? Let me ask you this. Were you really reading Augustine's Confessions? Well, if you're reading something like this, you are great, O Lord, and greatly to be praised. Great is your power, and to your wisdom there is no limit. What are you doing?
It's a prayer.
Praying. And what if you're not praying? Then are you reading Augustine's Confessions? No. Because what does it mean to really be reading something? Well, a little bit later on in this book, Book 1, Augustine gives a little story. This is chapter 13, paragraph 21 of chapter 13. He's talking about reading the Aeneid and the story of Dido. Who can be more wretched than the wretched one who takes no pity on himself, who weeps over Dido's death when she brought to pass by love for Aeneas, and who does not weep over his own death brought to pass by not loving you, O God, light of my heart, bread for the inner mouth of my soul, power wedding together my mind and the bosom of my thoughts. Okay, let's stick with that image. Power wedding together my mind and the bosom of my thoughts. Well, the first part's easy. Your mind is your mind. What's the bosom of your thoughts?
Your soul.
Your soul? So your mind isn't part of your soul? It's different from your soul? Wedding together. So this would mean your soul could be apart from your mind. I mean, right? That's what. And there's a power that weds them together, and sometimes it might not be wedding them together, and then your soul will be separate from your mind. Does that sound plausible to you? Okay, so that answer isn't going to work. Okay, so now what's the power wedding together my mind and the bosom of my thoughts? What's the bosom of your thoughts?
What's in your heart?
What's in your heart? Okay. Now, what are we doing if our mind and the bosom of our thoughts are not wedded together? So your mind's going one way, and the bosom of your thoughts is going another way. What are you doing? In ordinary language.
You lost.
That's what you're doing. You probably don't have experience of this ever happening to you, so that's why you can't answer. You're lying. Right? You're thinking one thing and you're on the end, and then after that, right? He knows what's up. The rest of you, eventually you'll discover that there are people who are like this. Their mind and the bosom of their thoughts isn't wedded together. So what's Brad doing when he's reading? His mind is going one way, and the bosom of his thoughts is not going there. So now I'll continue. I did not love you, and I committed fornication against you. Amid my fornications from all sides, there sounded the words, well done, well done. Okay, so if you're not, if those two powers aren't wedded, you're fornicating. Brad, we're in public. Brad, you should not. Come on, Brad, keep it zipped. You shouldn't be doing that in public. That's what you're doing. So you're either praying when you're reading Augustine's Confessions, or the F word. That's what you're doing. There's no middle ground. And this whole book is a prayer. Now let's go back to the beginning of the prayer. You are great, O Lord, and greatly to be praised. Great is your power, and to your wisdom there is no limit. Whose prayer is it? Whose prayer is it?
Well, if the person reading it is, if their mind and heart is wedded together, then it's their prayer.
Then it's their prayer. Who else's prayer is it? It's the easiest question you will ever get in a philosophy class. Augustine's. Who else's prayer is it? You are great, O Lord, and greatly to be praised.
The Psalms.
It's,
It's a biblical prayer.
I can't hear you. I'm going to take these out. Or you're going to speak louder.
It's a biblical prayer.
It's a psalm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whose prayer is it? David's.
Yeah.
And who else's? It being a biblical psalm.
Ours.
Centuries of Jews, and now centuries of Christians who say the Psalms. So how many people are joined in this prayer that you're reading? A lot more than you can see. Let's just put it that way. And are you, in reading this prayer and having your mind and the bosom of your thoughts wedded together in this prayer, unlike Brad, are those other people doing the same thing? Have they done the same thing? And so, what are you doing with them?
Praying with them.
You're wedding your mind and heart to their mind and heart, and that's what a real community is. It's not people living together in the same boundary line. That's community of dogs or cows or whatever could do that. But human beings aren't a community that way. They're a community by joining their thoughts and hearts together in a purpose. That's what it means to be one with other people, right? And if you're not doing that, well, we know what you're doing.
So that's the universal prayer of the church.
And it's the universal prayer of the church.
People all around us.
Yeah. And people who aren't around us.
They aren't around us.
Okay. So far, so good. To continue. Lord, grant me to know and to understand which is first, to call upon you or to praise you, and also which is first, to know you or to call upon you. But how does one who does not know you call upon you, Brad? For one who does not know you might call upon another instead of you. Or must you rather be called upon so that you may be known? Okay. Know, praise, call. in the ordinary way of doing things with other people, which comes first? To know, to call, to praise. To know, and then to call, and then to praise, if you find out the person's praiseworthy. Might it not be to call and then to know? I'm just asking. I mean, you don't know somebody, so what do? You sit down next to them sometime at some place, a bar maybe, and start talking to them. Right? And then you get to know them. Right? And then maybe you praise them, or maybe not. I mean, it is a bar after all. Right?
Loose lips.
And all kinds of things. So which one comes first? Well, it's pretty clear which one comes last, right? In the ordinary. You have to know them before you're going to praise them. Right? What's Augustine doing? You are great, O Lord, and greatly to be praised. Great is your power, and to your wisdom there is no limit.
Praising. He's praising first.
Now here's another question about confession. If you go to somebody to confession, isn't there a confession of praise in that fact? They have something that they can give you that's good. That's praise for them, isn't it? So you can't confess without praising either. So it looks like he's beginning by praising. And in fact, he is.
Is he?
You are great.
You are great. I have to know you to say you before I praise you.
You arouse him to take joy in praising you, for you have made us for yourself, and our heart is restless until it rests in you.
I know you made me, therefore I praise you.
How does he know that?
On the next line, it says, "Grant me, Lord, to know and understand which of these is most important."
Which of these is first? Oh, you have most important in your translation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't bring the Latin, so I imagine it just says primum. So you could translate it either way. The literal would be first, and the figurative would be most important. Right? So he's asking which is first. And I think he's not asking, we're asking. How can we do this? Let me cheat a little bit myself and skip to the very last line of the book. Read the end. See how the plot turns out. Well, I have to read the last couple of lines. What man will give it to man to understand this? What angel will give it to an angel? What angel to man? From you let it be asked, in you let it be sought. At your door let us knock for it. Thus it is received, thus it is found, and thus it is opened to us. How is it opened to us? How is it received? By calling. But your calling is already an act of praise. I want to know. Why do you want to know? Well, you must be thinking there's something good there. You're knocking. So he begins by praising, which is also knocking, which is, since it's praise, a confession of praise. It doesn't look like it's the ordinary way of coming to know and call and praise. In fact, I think what we're supposed to get by the end of it is that all three of these acts are one. Calling, knocking, coming to know, praising. But before we get to the end, there's a lot to go through. Next chapter. How shall I call upon my God? My God and my Lord, since in truth, when I call upon him, I call him into myself. What place is there within me where my God can come? How can God come into me? God who made heaven and earth. O Lord my God, is there anything in me that can contain you? In truth, can heaven and earth, which you have made, and which you have also made me, can contain you? Or because without you, whatever is would not be, does it hold that whatever exists contains you? Since I do not exist and yet would not be unless you were in me, why do I beg that you come into me? I am not now in hell. You are even there. For if I descend into hell, you are present. Therefore, my God, I would not be. I would in no ways be if you were in me, unless you were in me. Or rather, I would not be unless I were in you, from whom and by whom and in whom all things are. Even so, Lord, even so. To what place do I call you then, since I am in you? Or from what place can you come to me? How can we even call? Where's he going to come to? How can we even think about calling so how did we do this?
Who's got your number?
It's an interesting question, that if God is in you and you don't only exist with God, and he said, well, God.
So why are you calling?
Even if
why
you're
are you
in
saying
hell,
God?
even if you're in hell.
Yeah. So
God is
why
in
are
you.
you calling?
Well, 'cause
And
when we
where's he
get
going
out
to
of
come
hell-
from? So he's someplace else now? What? There's a place that exists without him? How can I even talk about this? Well, so it looks like I began by saying, you're great, O God, and greatly to be praised, and I'm trying to call you into me, but I have no idea how any of that can even be thought. So much for calling. Forget about it. Do heaven and hell then contain you, since you fill them? Or do you fill them, and does there yet remain something further, since they do not contain you? Where then do you diffuse what remains of you after heaven and hell have been filled? Is part of you greater, therefore, and another smaller? Or are you entire in all places, and does no one thing contain you in its entirety? Can I have more of God or less of God? Does an elephant have more of God? What am I even asking for? So chapter 2 seems to say, you can't even ask this, and then what could you possibly be asking for? And that doesn't seem to be answered. And then chapter 4, what is then my God? What I ask unless the Lord God, or who is Lord but the Lord, or who is God but our God? Was that helpful? A little bit redundant, right? A is A, B is B. Most high, most good, most mighty, most almighty, most merciful and most just. Now we just get a whole bunch of superlatives, the usual ones. Most hidden and most present. You know, that sometimes happens to me. I'm looking for something, and it's right there. Okay, so that one's not impossible to understand, because it happens regularly. Most beautiful and most strong. Okay, that sounds like a good combination. Stable and incomprehensible. Well, you said it was stable, right? Well, that's not incomprehensible. That means it doesn't change. So much for incomprehensible. or not? Unchangeable, yet changing all things. Oh, now I wonder how that works. Because in order to change something, we have to change. Never new and never old, yet renewing all things. Not sure how that goes together either. Leading proud men into senility, that I get. Although they know it not, that comes with being senile. Ever active and ever at rest. Yeah, I've been sitting here watching TV all day and I got my 10,000 steps in. Gathering in yet needing nothing. Supporting, fulfilling, and protecting all things, creating, nourishing, and perfecting them. Searching them out, although nothing is lacking. You love, but are not inflamed with passion. What kind of love is that?
Self-giving.
You're cheating. You read farther.
No, I don't read anything.
You are jealous yet free from care. Well, if you're jealous about something, you care an awful lot about it. That's why you're jealous. You repent, but you do not sorrow. I do that frequently. Okay, but that means what? What does that mean? If you repent but do not sorrow. I'm not really repenting, that's what that means. You grow angry but remain tranquil. And then I will just kill you. You see how calmly I can say it? How do you put these things together? They seem, well, the first one's redundant. What is Lord except the Lord? Who is God except God? That's redundant. And then we have these oxymorons, most hidden and most present. Ever active and ever at rest, that seems like not an oxymoron, but a direct contradiction. You love but are not inflamed with passion, that seems like another contradiction. You change your works but do not change your plan. You take back what you find, although you never lost it. You are never in want, but you rejoice in gain. You are never covetous, yet you exact usury. Sounds like there's an awful lot of contradictions here. So, how can I talk to God? How can He answer? Who am I talking to that fulfillment to all these contradictions? And what have we said, my God, my life, my holy delight? Or what does any man say when he speaks of you? Yet what have we said? Have you got anything out of that? So what have we said? Anything? Not a lot. What have we said, my God, my life, my holy delight? Or what does any man say when he speaks of you? Yet woe to those who keep silent concerning you, since even those who speak much are as the dumb. Okay, look, if I haven't said anything in these 4 chapters, I'm thinking like Augustine now. If I haven't said anything, yeah, and what does any man say when he speaks of you is the same thing. They don't say much either. Yet woe to those who keep silent concerning you. Well, look, if you don't have anything intelligible to say, isn't it better to keep silent? Yet woe to those who keep silent. Damned if I do and damned if I don't. I mean, why woe to those who keep silent?
They're not seeking out to know God.
They're not seeking. They're not knocking. They're not trying to get something. They're not. And if you're not seeking, what does it mean? What else does that mean? You're not doing.
Not praising.
You're not praising. You're not loving. You're not praying, probably.
Not
Yeah.
confessing.
You're not what?
Not confessing.
You're not confessing. Woe to those who say nothing. Who will give me help so that I may rest in you? Skipping a line or two. Have pity on me so that I may speak. Did you ever have a prayer answered that quickly? Have pity on me that I may speak. The miracle is happening. It's been happening since the opening words. Too narrow is the house of my soul for you to enter into it. Let it be enlarged by you. It lies in ruins. Build it up again. I confess and know that it contains things that offend your eyes, yet who will cleanse it? Or upon what other than you shall I call? So, I can't say anything. You can't come to me, because I don't even know what that would mean. And yet woe to those who say nothing. And now, well, too narrow is the house of my soul. So, if nothing else, your confession leads you to understand something about yourself. Too narrow is the house of my soul. Okay. Are things making sense so far? Questions? Comments? Difficulties? Now he starts the story of his life.
Gene, I have a comment. I know you told me.
That's okay, you can talk.
When you were talking about the bosom of the soul, I agree that it would be the heart. I also think it might be the body, in the sense that when you pray, or when you confess, it's, your body is involved as well. The right attitude, perhaps, tone of voice, the way in which you read must be fitting to what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that makes sense, and I think that that's true. And he does use a body metaphor here, right? Let me go back to it. Wedding together my mind and the bosom of my thoughts. But it's clearly not just the body, if it's the bosom of your thoughts,
I wasn't
right?
suggesting just the body.
I think maybe other than heart, it might be your will,
Yeah.
which of course gets enacted through the body. Right? So wedding together my mind and the bosom of my thoughts. I did not love you and committed fornication against you, and in my fornications from all sides there sounded the words, well done, well done. Okay, so that reminds me of going back to, I should go back to this story. Augustine isn't talking about this thing I was talking about with Brad. that his mind and his heart were going in different ways if he was reading and that's all he was doing, if he wasn't praying at the same time. Okay, Augustine's talking about reading the story of Dido and Aeneas from the Aeneid, and he's saying that that was fornication. But he's also saying that he tells a story about having to do these speeches in class, and the best student was the one who gave the speech with the best expression and etc. And he won, and everybody says, well done, and this is fornication. So I think there's two things that are going on that are fornication against God. One is what Brad's doing in class when he's reading and not reading. Reading and not praying, I should say, right? The other is the power that's joining you together can be real or not real. And what he's going to talk about in this first book about his teachers and what he had to learn, he's learning all these stories that are, well, to speak perfectly honestly, not even true, right? So what's wetting his mind and his heart together, even when he's successful at reading and expressing and doing everything perfectly according to his teachers, what's wetting his heart and mind together? What?
His body?
No, not his body. He's doing, and then Dido on the seashore, weeping for Aeneas, built a pyre and threw herself upon it, and drew her sword and thrust it through her breast. I'm sorry, I didn't do a Dido enough. I don't get first prize. That's the kind of speech he was giving. And then Dido on the seashore saw the sail disappear, and weeping began to build a pyre, and took her knife and thrust it in her breast. Is that better? Even so, what is it that my heart and will and body are united in? Did Dido, was there even a real Queen Dido? So lies. Actually, nothing. Smoke and wind, he'll say in a couple places in book 1. Breath, people telling stories. It's a story I've heard. What's he united in then? Some illusory thing. Dido. What are you united in, and what unites you and everybody else who's reading the Confessions? What are you united in when you're doing that? You are great, O Lord, and greatly to be praised. Great is your power, and to your wisdom there is no limit. What are we united in?
Praise to God.
The most real thing there is. The other stuff is just fornicating. It's just effing around. It's nothing. It's not only not a serious thing, it's not a thing. It's a nothing. It's a fiction, a thing of breath. Like what Falstaff says honor is. What is honor? 'Tis but breath. People breathing your name in praise. Falstaff was a hero at... What's Augustine aiming for in his story about Dido? Well done. Well done. Excellent. Breath. People blowing in his ear. Good job, Augustine. Really? That's what you're after? Okay. Back to where we were going. I'm sorry, Dave had a question. Does anybody else have a question or comment so far? Okay. The infant Augustine. I do not know whence I came into what I may call this mortal life or living death. Whence I do not know. Your consolation and your mercies have raised me up, as I have heard from the parents of my flesh. For by one and in the other you fashioned me in time. I myself do not remember this. Therefore the comfort of human milk nourished me, but neither my mother nor their nurses filled their own breasts. Rather, through them you gave me an infant's food in accordance with your law, and out of the riches that you have distributed even down to the lowest level of things. You gave me to want no more than you gave, and you gave to those who nursed me the will to give what you gave them, and by an orderly affection they willingly gave me what they possessed so abundantly from you. It was good for them that my good should come from them, yet it was not from them, but through them. For from you, O God, come all good things, and from you, my God, comes all my salvation. All right, now's when I really need a chalkboard. So we got two people here, Augustine and Monica. What's the story?
Wanna know?
What's the story that he just told? Is it
His
easy?
mother gave him life and fed him.
Yeah, his mother gives him life, feeding him. But now is it his mother who does it?
No, God gave her the strength to give it to him.
Ah, so there's a third person already involved who made his mother a motherly nature, which lactates after it gives birth, right? And made him, the usual kind of creature, wanting it.
And able to accept it.
And being able to accept it. And then something else. Besides the natural, let's say, biological thing that is an effect of his creation of both of them in the way that he created them, mother, child, right? Besides that, he says something else was given. What else? You can read it, that's okay. What else was given?
There was other nurturing going on there, right?
There's a lot of what?
Other nurturing going on.
Yeah, well,
Some
that's
other
true
source.
too, but no, I want really, literally, what does he say? What else was given?
His salvation.
Well, okay, now you're at the end of it. You're skipping the details in the middle. What else was given? You gave them none of you have your book. You gave them,
What they possessed, they gave to him.
and then
God gave him the want for no more than what they had.
you gave to those who nursed me the will to give what you gave to them. Sorry, I started in the wrong place. You gave them the will to give. Now, could it be that a mother doesn't will to give her baby milk?
Mhm.
I mean, it might be. It's going to ruin my body. She might be thinking. I don't know. You know, it's not my body, so I don't know how it works, but I've heard some stories. Right? So she might be unwilling to do it. Right? Get some milkmaid to do it. Right? The rich people did that in Augustine's time. Okay, so gave Monica the will to do it. So now we've got not just a physical relationship, we've got a moral relationship. She has the right will. The will to do this for her. Does Augustine have the right will?
No.
Well, it's hard to say he even has a will.
She prayed for it though.
But, okay, but now think about this story that he's telling. He's telling this obviously as a 33-year-old adult, as something, I don't remember myself, but people have told me, right? Okay, so now he knows that there's a physical relationship. He knows that at least on his mother's side, there's a moral relationship. She's choosing to do this, right? And he also knows that there's this theological, or we might even say metaphysical, relationship. God has made all of these things to be possible, right? He knows all that now, right? right? Does Monica know, or could Monica know at this time that God gives her the power to do this? God makes her to be able to feed her son. Could Monica, she could have known that, right? She could have believed that. She could have been thinking that while she was doing it, right? Being grateful for being able to do this, right? She could have been praising God for being able to do this at the same time. So she could have known about all those other relationships other than the physical one at the time that this is going on, right? Augustine obviously can't. He can't know about it. He doesn't have the epistemological wherewithal to know about it. He probably doesn't have the will to know, to be able to choose one thing or another. He's just, anything that comes close to his mouth is going to go in, and he's going to start sucking on it, right? It could be a Drano can, it could be a breast, it could be a thumb, it could be a toe. I mean, that's just his nature. That's his physical nature. There's no moral nature there, it seems, right? So, but Monica could know about the moral nature that she has and what she's doing. She could know, she's got enough knowledge to know that this is the situation, right? So she's got knowledge, will, she might even have this theological understanding of what's going on, right? All these things Augustine has now, and he's showing us, were there from the get-go in his life. Okay. That's his story, as he says, by an orderly affection. They willingly gave me what they possessed so abundantly from you. It was good for them that my good should come from them. And that's another thing, right? It's good for the woman who does this. I mean, another thing I've heard is if you don't, your boobs hurt a lot. That's what I've heard. I mean, I don't know, but that's what I've heard. So it's good for them to do this. I've heard. Right? And so is Augustine. He knows as much about it as I do. It was good for them that my good should come from them, yet it was not from them, but through them. Okay, so all those good things that he's pointing out here, that's what he calls ordered affection. That's the way the world is supposed to be. A system of ordered affection all the way through. From here, it's all downhill. The next 8 books. Disordered affection. So we're at the high point. Should we keep going? This I afterwards observed when you cried out to me by means of these things which you bestow both inwardly and outwardly. But at the time I knew how to seek the breast, how to be satisfied with pleasant things, and to cry at my bodily hurts, but nothing more. My relationships were only physical. But at this point it's not a problem. Later on, I began to laugh. Now, why is he laughing? Some people say he's just laughing because, it's just a physical response to certain juices coming out, right? But it's important for Augustine because laughter is one of the signs of human beings. And he's starting to build up this story. Laughter happens when you recognize a contradiction or something that doesn't fit, right? And so he's beginning to recognize things, and he's trying to put them together, and some of the ways they're put together apparently make him laugh. At least I think that's why he introduces laughing first. But then, little by little I perceived where I was. I wished to make my wants known to those who could satisfy them, yet I could not do so because the wants were within me, while those outside me could by no sensible means penetrate into my soul. So I tossed my limbs about and uttered sounds, making such few signs similar to my wishes as I could, and yet in such fashion as I could, although they were not like the truth. And when they would not obey me, either because they did not understand or because it would be harmful, give me that Drano jar. I grew angry at the older ones who were not subject to me, and at children for not waiting on me, and took it out on them by crying. Okay, now perhaps he's anthropomorphizing himself a little bit too much, but at certain points, children do become like this. I've heard. Right? But he's pointing out here, he has to learn how to use signs to express his will. That's the game. And once you can learn the signs, once you start learning the signs and how things are connected, you can get other people to maybe do what you want. But you have to be able to make the signs that are appropriate and that work for these people. Right? And if you can't make them, then you can't get what you want. Dang it. Okay, so one of the first examples of, he goes on with this for quite a while. So paragraph 10 of chapter 6, a few lines down. You've endowed man so that he can gather these things concerning himself from others, and even on the words of weak women believe much about himself. For even then I had being and lived, and already at the close of my infancy I looked for signs, by which I could make known my meaning to others. Okay, so infant in Latin, infans just means without language. So now he's moving out of infancy because he's getting language. He can now do something other than cry and maybe get what he wants, right? But he's looking for signs. He's trying to figure out how to make this happen, right? And then he gives a little story in chapter 7. But even then were these things good, to try to get by crying even what would be harmful if it were given to me, to be bitterly resentful at freemen, elders, my parents, and many other prudent people who would not indulge my whims when I struck at them and tried to hurt them as far as I could because they did not obey orders that would be obeyed only to my harm. Thus it is not the infant's will that is harmless, but the weakness of infant limbs. I myself have seen and have experienced with a jealous little one. It was not yet able to speak, but it was pale and bitter in face as it looked at another child nursing at the same breast. Okay, so we are no longer at ordered affection. Even the infant has this disordered jealousy. That's my breast. He's already eaten and burped. That's my breast. But he can't do anything about it. But the ordered affection we saw, it's now broken. And from the side that you'd think least likely to break it, the one who seems like it can't break it, here he is. We don't think this is a serious problem. Mothers and nurses claim to make up for this by some sort of correctives. Yet is it really innocence not to allow another child to share in that richly flowing fountain of milk, although it is in great need of help and derives life from that sole source of food? Okay. He learns more and more about how to talk to people, how to get the things he wants. So let's skip towards the bottom of chapter 8. Begins, I was no longer an infant, but now I was a chattering boy. And the end of this, little by little, I inferred that words are set in their proper places in different sentences that I'd heard frequently, and these were signs of things. And when my mouth had become accustomed to these signs, I expressed by means of them my own wishes. Thus, to those among whom I was, I communicated the signs of what I wished to express. I entered more deeply into the stormy society of human life, though still dependent on my parents' authority and the will of my elders. Okay, think about this image. I communicated the signs of what I wished to express, and I entered more deeply into the stormy society of human life. We started with this picture of ordered affection. Why now is society stormy? The stormy life of human society. Why is it stormy?
The rules change.
The rules changed?
The rules change. I mean, as you grow up, the rules that adults give or that are expected of you change.
I don't think that's what he's implying here. That the rules change. Why is life in society stormy? What's he been trying to show you about the growth from infancy to childhood? What's the difference? Speech. And why are you speaking?
Manifest your will.
That's it. And why is she speaking? And why are you speaking? That's right. To manifest my will. So, where's the eye of this hurricane?
Self.
Eye? So there are 1,000 million eyes of this hurricane. That's a serious storm. That's what it is. How does it become that? Remember the first story, ordered affection. How does it become stormy society? What?
Disordered affection.
It's a disordered affection, and that means that you aren't willing to accept what God has made you be and made you capable of, and put you in certain situations, and you want it to be. I want the Drano can. And yeah, then maybe you get it. But your affections are no longer in line with the order of creation. Not only my affections. Everybody wants to be Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. Right. Sorry, kids. I know you don't know who Frank is. And that's why society is stormy. And so, now back to your answer. Why do the rules change?
Well, because everybody has their own desires.
Yeah, and we get enough people together and we can change the rules. Yeah. So, but then you got a bigger storm. And by the way, when you get to book 2, that's what he's doing when he gets to the bottom. Book 2 shows you the bottom of disordered affection. It looks like a very stupid little thing. It's stealing pears, but it's the perfect picture of disordered affection in book 2. So here we are in disordered, stormy society of human life where everybody is making signs at everybody else to try to get what they want. Whether it's good for them or not, they haven't maybe investigated, like the baby. Or maybe they just disagree with society, or at least the part that's talking to them, like their parents. Right? And now, maybe we should end with this one. Oh God, my God, how great was the misery and great the deception that I met with, when it was impressed upon me that to behave properly as a boy, I must obey my teachers. Well, that sounds different. I thought I was supposed to obey my teachers. No, that was a great deception. And a great misery. Now, some of you have read book 1, so what's the misery? That's the easy part. You've got to go to school now. What's the misery? You probably never had this problem. What's the problem? What's the misery?
Doing something somebody else wants them to do.
Well, that doesn't make me happy, but this is even worse, because this thing that somebody else wants, what do you want to do?
Not that.
Well, okay, but you probably want something else. What do most kids want to do? Play. And that's what Augustine wanted to do. And this was a great,
Boy.
and so they sent me to this miserable school, and I'm supposed to obey this guy. I mean, great misery. What's the deception? And if I didn't obey them, I was whipped. This method was praised by our forebears. Okay, so I guess you're stuck with one misery or the other misery. The misery of not being able to play, or the misery of playing and then getting beaten for it. Misery or misery? Which one do you want? What's the deception? The deception is, what are all these teachers teaching? Well, they're teaching him Latin. They're teaching him Greek eventually. And what are they teaching? Math. Oh, and they teach him math too, which really is
Maybe more relevant, yeah.
What's the deception? What's the deception in their teaching? Chapter 10, paragraph 16, the middle. I was disobedient, not out of a desire for better things, but out of a love for play. I love to win proud victories in our contests. So, first I love to play, which makes school a misery. Then, once I'm in school, and otherwise I get beaten, I love to win victories in these contests, right? And to have my ears tickled by false stories, like Dido, so that they would itch all the more intensely for them, with the same kind of curiosity glittering more and more in my eyes for shows, the games of grown-up men. For their producers are invested with such honor that almost all parents desire it for their children. Hence they gladly let them be beaten, if, by attending just such shows, they are kept from studies by which their parents wish them to rise to putting on such shows. So, what's the deception? Translated into modern times. What do you want to go to school for? I want to learn about computers. What for? So I can make computer games. Why do you want to make those? Because I like playing them. Well, you aren't going to learn how to make them by playing them. So first I'm going to beat you for playing them. But I'm doing it for your good, because you want to be somebody who designs these things, and you're going to get there. But what are these things? By the parents' own admission that I'm going to beat you if you play them. What are these things? Do your parents beat you for usual things? Do they beat you for doing good things? Okay, so what are these things that you're going to school to learn how to make? So is there a deception going on here?
Yeah.
I'm going to school so I can make these things I'm not allowed to play with. Why am I not allowed to play with them? Because they would inhibit the growth of my talents, my intellect. Right? And so you're going to make them so you can inhibit the growth of talents and intellect in other people. Yeah, and I'm going to get paid a lot of money for that.
Man is free, but everywhere he goes, he is intense.
That's the deception. What did you come to college for? To get a good career. Right? To What for? So I can get good things and be happy. Well, is that what happiness is? Well, the philosophy department used to have a whole course on this, but they don't have a philosophy department anymore, so good luck finding it out by studying computers.
AI.
Yeah, ask Alexa. That was the deception. And furthermore, well, having got this far, now he says, chapter 13, why I detested the Greek language when I was taught it as a little boy, I have not yet fully discovered. I liked Latin very much. Not the parts given by our first teachers, but what the men called grammarians teach us. The first stages of our education, where we learned reading, writing, and arithmetic, I consider to be no less a burden and punishment than all the Greek courses, since I was but flesh and a wind which goes and does not return. But better indeed were those, and more certain were those first studies. Okay, so why does he hate Greek? Because it turns out that in Greek classes, he read the same stories he read in Latin classes. He read about, he didn't read Aeneas and Dido because that was written in Latin, but he did read about Odysseus, etc. A whole bunch of women on the way home. He's in a hurry, it takes 10 years. He reads all those stories, and they're just as juicy, and but why doesn't he like it? Why after you've become fluent in a language, with learning another language, just
Repeat.
but it's not a repeat. That's what makes it hard. It's uncomfortable. Why is it uncomfortable? Why don't you want to do it? It's got great stories. It's what?
It's hard.
It's hard, and it's hard because what do you have to do to learn a language? Work and study, and what you're doing in that work and study is
Exerting your will.
oh no, you're not exerting your will. A whole culture is exerting its will on you. That's what it means to learn the language. The whole Greek culture is coming down on you and saying, you learn to speak to me. I already know how to speak Latin in Punic, and I did everything I want speaking Latin in Punic, and now you want me to... Why do I have to go through this? And that's what it really means, though, to learn another language. You become enculturated in a different way of expressing and thinking about the world. I hated it too, for the same reason. I'm pretty good at English. I can do things pretty well in English. You know, Russian, Greek, Latin, all these other things. Forget about it. It's right. You're subjecting yourself to a whole nother society's storms and way of getting around those storms and way of dealing with those storms. Look, I can already deal with the storms I really am going to have to deal with. Nobody around me speaks Greek except these stupid Greek teachers. So I don't need this to get my will to work. I think that's why he really didn't like it. I mean, I know that's why I didn't really like these two languages. It's not worth the trouble. I can already do this. And then he talks about those same Greek stories and how Jove, one of his seductions, seen by a young boy his age, he rains down a shower of gold into Danae's lap and thus tricks the girl. And the boy says, ah, what a god. He shakes the highest heavens with his thunder. Shall I, poor mortal man, not do the same? I've done it, and with all my heart I'm glad. So the stories that he's learning in these Greek and Latin classes are stories about these gods doing well, let's say very ungodly things. So what's his heart, the bosom of his thoughts and his mind being united together in not only false stories, but false stories of vicious acts which sow in him the desire for the similar. That's another deception.
Classical literature, it's good for you.
No, I think there's a way out of this problem for classical literature, but we aren't going to get that far in Confessions. So, and he talks about getting a prize for having given the best speech. But what's a prize? Chapter 17, paragraph 27, the second half. After he's done with his speech and gets the prize. What did all this matter to me, my God, my true life? For what good was I? For my declamation, acclaimed above so many of my schoolmates and boys of the same age. What was all this but smoke and wind? Well done. Well done. Whew. It's not as windy as Nebraska, but that's all it is. Was there no other subject on which to exercise my talents and my tongue? Your praises, Lord, your praises set forth in your scriptures would have held up my heart's young vine, so that it would not have been snatched away by empty trifles, the filthy prey of flying creatures. In more ways than one, is sacrifice offered to the transgressor angels. What are the flying creatures that he's become a prey to? What are the flying creatures he's become prey to and has been snatched away by?
Devil.
You could say that. But
Pagan
there's a
gods.
literal answer.
The pagan gods.
What?
The pagan gods.
Well, that story was about Juno, so that would work with the story that he's just told. But with the part I just read, what are the flying creatures he's become the prey to? Remember, Cole?
Crows.
Crows? What did all this matter to me? So he gets the prize. What did all this matter to me? What was all this but smoke and wind? My heart was snatched away by empty trifles, the filthy prey of flying creatures. Okay, one at a time. What did all this matter? What was it but smoke and wind? What's the smoke and wind?
Praise and honor.
The praise that he's getting from his teachers. Well done. Right? And what else is smoke and wind? All these stories about Juno, who is, those stories are, never happened. Right? Smoke and wind. Empty trifles. Snatched away by empty trifles. What's the empty trifle?
Myths and stories.
The stories, for one thing,
First performance.
and the praise for his performance. So if somebody else praises you, what is that to you? That somebody else praises you for this. So now what are the flying creatures? Birds?
Angels.
It could be, but literally, it's already something else. Those are not incorrect, but I want you to see the literal level first. What are the literal flying creatures that he can pray to.
Is it other people's hurricanes?
It's other people's words. How do these words get to you? Through the air. Through the air. They're flying. They're going everywhere. The filthy prey of flying creatures. He's doing all this to get somebody to say, way to go, Allison. In more than one way, is sacrifice offered to transgressor angels. Okay, now he's using the angel word. But how is he offering sacrifice to transgressor angels? What is he working for? Which is just a flying creature. He's sacrificing his time and his efforts for this flying creature to come to him. That's what he's working for. That's what he's doing. He's offering all his work for.
You do it great. You do it great. You just do it great.
You're doing great.
You just do it great.
Thank you. That means so much tonight. What wonder was it that I was thus carried away into vain practices and went far from you, my God? For the men set up for my models were utterly dejected when caught out in a barbarism or a solecism while telling about some of their own acts, even though the acts themselves were not bad. But if they would describe some of their lustful deeds in detail in good order with correct and well-placed words, did they not glory in the praise they got? Lord, you who are long-suffering, most merciful, and most truthful, you see these things, and yet you remain silent? But will you keep silent forever? Thus, not on foot, and not by distance of place do we depart from you or return to you. That younger son of yours did not look for horses or chariots or ships. He did not fly away on visible wings. He did not make a journey on foot, so that by living a prodigal's life in a far country, he could waste the substance that you have given him as he started out. Okay, so he's echoing the prodigal son story, right? He didn't go by foot. He didn't go by distance of place. He didn't go by horse or chariot or ship. He didn't fly away on wings. How did he go away? He departed from you by lustful affections, by darksome affections, and this is what it is to be far from your face. And how did he get carried away on those lustful affections? Well done! Way to go! Flying creatures that didn't move him a centimeter physically, moved him galaxies away. Okay. So here I am, chapter 19. On the threshold of such customs lay I, a wretched boy, and this was the stage and arena where I was more fearful of committing a barbarism, mispronouncing a word, that is, than I was on guard, if I did commit one, against envying those who did not. I state these things and confess them to you, my God, because for such things I was praised by men, and to please them was for me at that time to live a life of honor. Those H's. Honor. Just. Is this boyish innocence? It is not. And yet, the last chapter, one must be thankful. Thanks must be given to you, our God, the most excellent and best creator and ruler of the universe, even if you willed only to bring me to childhood, because even then I existed. I had life and feeling, which is better than rocks can say. I had care for my own well-being, which is a trace of your own most mysterious unity. By my inner sense, I guarded the integrity of my outer senses and delighted in truth. I did not want to err. I was endowed with a strong memory. I was well instructed in speech and refined by friendship. What was there was not wonderful and praiseworthy in such a living being. All these things are the gifts of my God, but I did not give them to myself. These things are good. They're all made up my being. Therefore, he who made me is good, and he is my good, and before him I rejoice for these goods. So at the end, he's recalling not all the things that we were just talking about, but this ordered affection. God's made me good, and other things in the world good, like Monica in the first story. And all those things that he's given me are good. Now, what I've done with them is, of course, well, we won't go into that. We've been in that. We've talked about that. We've seen what he's in. It's going to get worse in book 2. Okay, but he can see now. He wasn't seeing it then. That's still there. There were still goods in the world. There was still an order of goods that wasn't entirely broken, that was operating, in spite of my best efforts. Right. Okay. Book 1. If you haven't read Confessions, it's a great book. And he didn't write it for theologians and philosophers. He wrote it for ordinary people to take up and read and pray with him. Thanks for coming. Questions? For those of you who haven't developed the bad habit of drinking beer yet, I invite you to grow up.